Principles of assessment. Validity and reliability of assessment are considered the two most important characteristics of a well-designed assessment. Validity refers to the degree to which a method assesses what it claims or intends to assess, or whether or not it measures what it is supposed to measure. This means that assessments and marking criteria should relate directly to the aims and objectives of the lesson, subject, or program, and enable students to demonstrate that they have achieved all the intended learning outcomes by the end of the study period. Imagine a faulty bathroom scale that consistently tells you that you weigh 85 kilograms, although you actually weigh 63. The reliability or consistency of this scale is very good, but it is not accurate or valid because you actually weigh 63 kilograms. Since teachers, parents, and schools make decisions about students based on assessments, such as grades, promotions, and graduation, the validity inferred from the assessments is essential, even more crucial than the reliability. Also, if a test is valid, it is almost always reliable. Again, validity refers to the accuracy of an assessment, whether or not it measures what it is supposed to measure. To ensure validity, we need to ask ourselves, does the assessment cover a representative sample of the content that should be assessed? Is the assessment used for the purpose for which it was designed? Are the conclusions drawn from assessment data appropriate considering other factors that may influence students' test scores? For example, physical, emotional, and psychological factors. Are the purpose and the criteria of assessment communicated clearly? There is a need for assessment to be reliable, and this requires clear and consistent processes for the setting, marking, grading, and moderation of assessments. Reliability refers to the extent to which assessments are consistent in terms of the outcomes, such as scores or marks produced. Just as we enjoy having reliable cars that start every time we need them, we strive to have reliable, consistent instruments to measure student achievement. Another way to think of reliability is to imagine a kitchen scale. If you weigh 2 kilograms of potatoes in the morning, and if the scale is reliable, the same scale should register 2 kilograms for the potatoes an hour later, unless of course you peeled and cooked them. Likewise, instruments such as classroom tests and national standardized exams should be reliable. It should not make any difference whether a student takes this assessment in the morning or afternoon, one day or the next, or marked by different examiners with the relevant expertise. An assessment is reliable if it measures the same thing consistently and reproducibly. In this context, accuracy is defined by the consistency, whether or not the results can be replicated. To do that, we need to use enough questions to assess competence, have a consistent environment for participants, such as same amount of time, similar environment, ensure that the participants are familiar with the assessment user interface, or they may not show their true competence due to unfamiliarity, as this could cause anxiety. And if human raters are used, train them well, and criteria and scoring rules must be clearly defined. Let's evaluate a few examples of assessments in terms of the principles of validity and reliability. If you want to assess students' creativity, you ask each of them to do as many push-ups as they can in 1 minute every day for a week. The results may be reliable because the number of times a person can push up may not differ by a lot if we assess them within a short time span. However, this is not a valid assessment for creativity. If you want to measure students' perception of their teacher using a survey, but the teacher hands out evaluation right after she reprimands her class, which she doesn't normally do, in this case, external factors like this could influence how a respondent perceives their environment, making an otherwise reliable instrument seem unreliable. The same survey given a few days later may not yield the same results. So although the survey may be a reliable instrument to assess students' perception of their teacher, The result may not be reliable or valid because the outcomes are affected by the event on that particular day. In this example, which assessment do you think is a valid way to assess a person's physical strength? Pause the video to give this a thought. Now, assuming that you have come to a conclusion, now teacher A's assessment may be more valid because it falls within the psychomotor domain of learning, similar to the intention of the test, meaning the number of push-ups a person can do could be an indicator of their strength. In contrast, teacher B's question belongs in the cognitive domain, where knowledge about the subject is being evaluated instead of skills. How about this example? A reading test meant to measure literacy that is given in a very small font size. A highly literate student with bad eyesight may fail the test because it is hard to read the passages supplied. Thus, a test would not be a valid measure of literacy, though it may be a valid measure of eyesight. In order for assessment tasks that we design to be valid and reliable, we need to ensure that our learning outcomes are measurable. This means that the kind of learning intended must be defined in a measurable and observable way. Compare list A and list B here. Which list do you think contains action-based verbs that define the kind of behavior that students need to demonstrate in order for us to assess their level of learning? I hope this video gives you a better understanding of the principles of validity and reliability in assessment. Thank you.